Well, realistically, it's one of the craziest propositions of all time. He's constantly moving, and then punches are coming, and he loops punches around your guard, and he's constantly shifting his feet, and you think he's going to be there, and he's over here, and it's like this overload of thinking. It's not a casual, relaxed fight where you can kind of move around and get your groove, and he's going to stay on the outside, and you're going to... No, it's just constant.
For me, personally, I'm on a different level than everybody. And when it comes down to boxing, because Devin, he's a boxer.
Joe Rogan just dropped a brutal reality check about Devin Haney that nobody saw coming. While everyone's been hyping up a potential showdown between Haney and Shakur Stevenson, Rogan isn't holding back about what he thinks will happen when these two finally step in the ring. And his warning about Stevenson's lightning-fast reflexes and rapid-fire combinations potentially overwhelming Haney has the entire boxing world talking. Because here's what most people don't realize. This isn't just another super fight being discussed. This is a clash between two completely different philosophies of boxing, and according to some of the biggest names in the sport, one of these fighters is operating on a level that the other simply can't match.
Human being. Terrifying. Every aspect of your senses at every moment. He's constantly moving, and then punches are coming, and he loops punches around your guard. This is like they're throwing insane money at people. They're throwing nutty sums of cash at people to make amazing fights happen. Like this has always been the hiccup in boxing, is that people don't want to fight certain people because they want to protect their record. The Saudis are like...
But let's back up and talk about why this conversation even started. Shakur Stevenson just put on an absolute clinic against Teofimo Lopez, and I'm talking about a performance that left zero doubt about who the superior fighter was. On January 31st at Madison Square Garden, Stevenson didn't just beat Lopez, he completely dismantled him over 12 rounds in a way that had boxing legends taking notice. We're talking about a unanimous decision where all three judges scored at 119-109 in Stevenson's favor. That's not a close fight. That's a masterclass in boxing intelligence. Stevenson controlled the distance with surgical precision, landed sharp counters that had Lopez looking confused, and used a disciplined jab that kept his opponent off balance for the entire fight. Meanwhile, he barely took any significant damage himself. With this victory, Stevenson became a 4-division world champion, adding the WBO and Ring Magazine junior welterweight titles to his collection.
And it easy, I was saying, like, if Tio was to fight more on a back foot and throw punches when Shakur throws, that's the only time you're going to get Shakur. But Tio, he has a habit of getting out of position all the time. He'll double up his right hand, turn square, or turn southpaw. Like, that's not going to work, bro. That's not going to, you're not going to take up enough space to touch Shakur. Shakur's reflexes and his countering was just keeping Tio at bay. It was an easy night from round one for him. Shakur got the dub.
Here's where it gets absolutely wild, though. The statistics from that Lopez fight tell a story that even casual fans can understand. Stevenson didn't just win rounds, he dominated them. He landed significantly more punches overall, connected more effectively with both jabs and power shots, and showed an ability to adapt his strategy in real time that you rarely see at the highest level of boxing. But what really caught everyone's attention wasn't just the technical brilliance. It was how effortless he made it look against a fighter who many considered to be one of the most dangerous punchers in the division. Lopez came in with serious knockout power and a reputation for ending fights early. Stevenson turned him into a frustrated opponent who couldn't figure out how to get his offense going. And that's when the boxing world started asking the question, if he can do this to Lopez, what happens when he faces someone like Devin Haney?
Just made Teofimo look like a novice. I mean, that's how good he is. 120, 109, 108. I mean, just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Is that what you expected from Shakur? No?
I mean, listen, I expected an incredible performance, but I didn't expect it to be completely one-sided. I mean, he won every round, in my opinion. It like the golfing levels was phenomenal. And I said to Bud, like, going into 12, he could do 40 rounds, Shakur. Like, never out of control, footwork, timing, shot selection. I actually think he could have stopped Teofimo if he'd have stepped on him. Teofimo looked like frustrated, just obviously was busted up to the face. He's a phenomenal fighter, 4-division world champion.
Now here's where the money drama gets interesting, and trust me, this is where you really see what's driving these negotiations. Stevenson has been crystal clear about why the Haney fight hasn't happened, yet the financial terms weren't right. But we're not talking about small numbers here. According to Haney, he offered Stevenson a 25% split of the purse, and Haney claims that even with the smaller percentage, Stevenson would have made more money than all of his previous fights combined. Think about that for a second. We're potentially talking about millions of dollars, and Stevenson walked away from it. Why would a fighter turn down what could be a career-defining payday? Because Stevenson believes he's worth more than 25%, and he's betting on himself that bigger opportunities are coming. He's made it clear that this isn't about avoiding competition. It's about making sure the business side reflects his value in the sport.
He's a boxer. It's not like he's a stone cold killer who's just gonna go in there and...
But wait, it gets even more complex when you look at the weight situation. Stevenson has openly contemplated moving up to 147 pounds for the right fight, but he's insisting on adding a rehydration clause to any potential matchup. He believes weight advantages can play a major role in boxing outcomes, and he wants fair conditions to ensure neither fighter gains too much size overnight after the weigh-in. This is actually a smart business move when you think about it. Stevenson has been dominating at 135 and 140 pounds, beating everyone put in front of him in those divisions. He's explained that people want to see him take bigger challenges because they know he dominates at the lower weights. A jump to welterweight would create the most exciting matchups and prove that his boxing skills can translate to any division. But he's not going to do it under unfavorable conditions.
He's gonna try to outbox me. I'm the greatest boxer. How do you... So that's how I feel about the fight.
Yeah.
But it all gotta make sense from a business standpoint. I don't like getting up here and negotiating against myself.
For sure.
But for me, I'm willing
but
to
do you
make the
see
fight
it
happen.
as it being that could, you know, like we always said, the Four Kings, even though you wasn't a part of it, the whole thing, the whole plot was like at the end of the road, there's gonna be two guys left standing, and that's the big fight. Do you see that as that's potentially what that could be?
I'm a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like,
you are. I ain't gonna lie.
like at the end of the day, Devin Haney is a bad motherfucker in his own right, but when you say like two guys standing, there's only one guy with me, and that's me. Like, I don't see two guys, I don't see three guys. I used to, like that was young Shakur.
And get this, Joe Rogan has expressed such strong confidence in Shakur Stevenson that he believes even without a rehydration clause, it won't matter. Rogan thinks Shakur's skill level, speed, and boxing intelligence are so high that he'll still outbox opponents at 147 pounds regardless of any size disadvantage. That's a massive endorsement from someone who's been around combat sports for decades and has seen every type of fighter imaginable. When Joe Rogan says a fighter's technique is so superior that physical advantages won't matter, that carries serious weight in the boxing community. But here's what makes this even more interesting. Rogan isn't the only legend backing Stevenson's abilities.
Am I going up to these guys' weight classes if I'm not planning on going there? So any of y'all want to fight me at 147?
Yeah, rehydration.
10 pounds.
10 pound rehydration.
That
like the IBF rule, basically.
You gotta understand, that means on fight night, when we get in the ring, they're gonna be 157, maybe 158.
Max.
No bigger than 160 that night.
Right.
I'm cool with that.
So if we could get it like, all right, like the IBF rule, 10 pound rehydration.
Yes, but think about it. If there's no rehydration clause, these guys gonna get it up to 170 pounds.
Yeah, 175.
I'm in the 140s on fight night.
Yeah.
So if I'm 140, they 170. Bro, what am I in here wrestling around with?
Mike Tyson has openly praised Shakur Stevenson's boxing ability, describing him as a true specialist in the sport. And when Iron Mike Tyson calls you a specialist, you know you're doing something right. Tyson said Stevenson's skill, technique, and defensive brilliance make him extremely difficult to defeat, even if some fans don't always appreciate his style. He explained that boxing is an art, and Stevenson's precision, ring intelligence, and ability to avoid damage are what allow him to dominate top opponents. Tyson specifically complimented Stevenson's recent performances, noting his sharp combinations, head movement, and classic hit-and-don't-get-hit approach that represents pure boxing mastery. Coming from a former heavyweight champion who understands what it takes to dominate at the highest level, This endorsement carries enormous credibility.
Some sort of a rehydration clause. Listen, kids, it ain't going to matter. He's not going to come in drained. What he's going to do is just do extra cardio, and that's just going to make him more dangerous. He's going to be terrifying.
Now listen to this part, because Terrence Crawford has also weighed in on the situation, and his perspective is fascinating. Crawford has praised Shakur Stevenson's skill and suggested that other fighters hesitate to fight him. He's implying that some boxers are reluctant to match up with Stevenson because of how difficult he is stylistically and technically. This is coming from Crawford, who's considered one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world right now. When elite fighters start saying that other elite fighters are avoiding someone, that tells you everything you need about that person's skill level. Crawford understands what it's like to be so technically sound that opponents would rather look elsewhere for easier fights, and he's recognizing that same quality in Stevenson.
Why certain fighters didn't want to take the chance to step in the ring with this fighter. He's great. A lot of people started saying, oh, he's a runner, he's this, he's that. Just to detour people from being excited to see him fight because he's not knocking people out and all that crazy stuff. But they would see why people really don't want to get in the ring with him come tomorrow.
I know you've shared the ring with him, sparring plenty of times. What makes Shakur Stevenson great? What makes him different? What makes him, I don't want to say an ilk of yourself, but in the same kind of era, the Bud Crawford era, he's got a Shakur Stevenson era coming through.
Everything. The offense, the defense, the poise, the rhythm, the distance, the timing, the punch placement, the react time. Like, I can go on and on. You know, the toughness, the grit, the grind. Like, he's amazing. You know, and tomorrow he will show it.
How do you think it ends tomorrow night? Do you believe that Shakur Stevenson can stop Teofimo Lopez? Because people aren't really talking about that.
Listen, if T.O. get out of line, you know, he can get hurt. You know? But I see Shakur outboxing him to a decision, a unanimous.
Here's the kicker, though. Timothy Bradley, Jr., has said that Shakur Stevenson has all the tools to be boxing's next big face. Bradley is praising his technical skill, defensive mastery, and boxing IQ, suggesting that those qualities could help Stevenson carry the sport forward as audiences learn to appreciate elite technique over pure power. Bradley believes Stevenson's disciplined approach and ring savvy set him apart and could make him a defining figure in boxing's future, especially as he continues to pick up big wins and remain undefeated. His comments reflect the view that Stevenson's combination of precision and strategy makes him not just a great fighter, but someone capable of being one of the sport's most recognizable stars. This is significant because Bradley has been around boxing as both a fighter and analyst long enough to recognize when someone has that special combination of skill and marketability.
Okay, oh, he's better than everybody at 135, 140. Sure. Nobody could beat him, so now we gotta test him out at 147.
That's how.
Because he that good.
Yeah, but you know that though. That's the.
But tell me I'm that good then. Tell me I'm that good then.
Yeah.
If that's how y'all feel, tell me. I want to hear it.
Yeah, I like that. I will say yes, you are that good. And when people are that good, we want to see a resistance fight. That's all we saying, and that's what I thought T.O. was gonna get, and we ain't get that.
Damn. Damn, y'all.
We gotta find another one.
I feel bad for y'all, because y'all gonna be waiting for the rest of my career. Like, God damn, oh. We want to see some, it ain't gonna happen. The most y'all gonna ever get is a Peta. That was y'all best hope and chance.
But there's something way bigger happening behind the scenes here that most people aren't talking about. Eddie Hearn recently came out strongly in support of Shakur Stevenson, saying the slick southpaw is one of the most underrated fighters in boxing today. According to Hearn, fans and critics alike often overlook just how difficult Shakur is to beat because his style isn't built on knockouts, but on elite fundamentals, ring IQ, and defensive mastery. Hearn emphasized that Stevenson's ability to control distance, neutralize dangerous opponents, and dominate rounds makes him a nightmare matchup for anyone, regardless of weight class. He also pointed out that winning cleanly and consistently at the highest level requires a special kind of greatness that often goes unappreciated. In Hearn's view, Shakur's resume, discipline, and technical brilliance deserve far more respect than he currently receives from the boxing public.
Everybody's asked you about, obviously, whenever you're going to fight Haney? Because I think we keep hearing about the negotiations falling through. Is that fight ever going to get made?
I would love for the fight to happen. Y'all can clearly see that I want the fight.
Yeah. Is what's off about it still the split?
I don't think that they want the fight to happen right now. Why would we fight this big risk fighter right now rather than wait a couple of years where we could make more money? But my only issue with it, right?
Yeah.
If that's the case, don't perpetrate. You talking big, but truth be told, you put me and him in a ring where nobody else can help him. There's nobody else that's gonna be able to fight for him. What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Like, he know deep down inside that I'm the truth. That's what he know. He know he done been in the ring with me several times. Go ask him, like really ask him and tell him to be honest about me as a fighter. You'll really hear how he talk. Honestly, I think he's a good fighter, but I think that is levels.
So here's what this all comes down to, and why Joe Rogan's warning about Devin Haney should be taken seriously. You've got Shakur Stevenson coming off a dominant performance where he made a dangerous opponent look ordinary. You've got legends like Mike Tyson and Terrence Crawford praising his technical abilities. You've got promoters like Eddie Hearn calling him underrated and suggesting other fighters are avoiding him. And you've got Joe Rogan saying his skills are so superior that physical disadvantages won't even matter. Meanwhile, Devin Haney is coming off a controversial decision against Ryan Garcia, where many people thought he lost, and then had to deal with the aftermath of Garcia's positive drug test. The momentum and expert opinions are clearly favoring Stevenson right now. So here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Do you think Devin Haney is walking into a buzzsaw if he fights Shakur Stevenson, or is there something we're missing that could give Haney the edge? If this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening in this potential super fight, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because the boxing world is about to get even more interesting. I'll see you in the next one.
Look at Shakur's resume and look at my resume. Who's brought the tougher opposition, me or him? And the 25% would have been, bigger than all his fights put together he made.
All put together?
Put together.
Were you shocked that he said no?
Yeah, ego, made him say no. His ego and the people around him. Kambosos offered me the 22% and the 2 fights to go to Australia and to go sign with a different promoter and to, get the vaccine and go do this and do that. Now that I'm the champion and I'm giving somebody the offer to make more money than they ever made in their life, put together in all their fights, I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. See, when I fought Kambosos, it wasn't for all the money. I was fighting for the same money that I was already making. I know that I could beat him. I know that once I win, I'm gonna be able to call the shots and make all the money myself. So now it's that time, and they don't want.
And speaking of things getting more interesting, there's another angle to this whole situation that nobody's really diving deep into. Tank Davis recently made some comments about both fighters that completely changes how we should be looking at this matchup. Davis said that while both Stevenson and Lopez are skilled, he believes Lopez has that it factor that separates good fighters from great ones. But here's the twist. Davis also mentioned that Haney's size and reach could be problematic for Stevenson if the fight happens at 140 pounds. This creates a fascinating dynamic because you've got one elite fighter essentially saying that Stevenson is more naturally gifted, but Haney might have the physical tools to neutralize those gifts. Davis knows both fighters personally, has sparred with both, and his insight carries weight because he's not trying to promote either guy. He's just giving his honest assessment from someone who's been in there with them.
Conor Ben, there's a lot of fights that Shakur can be involved in and beat all these dudes, man. Beat all of them. Has a chance of beating all of them, right? And solidifying, his mark in the sport. Being, the great of his generation. When Crawford left, I told y'all that, Shakur was the next guy on the throne. And I truly wholeheartedly still believe that. I know there's guys that has worked with Shakur in the past that swear up and down. Oh, shoot, I even forgot Murataya is there too. Guys like Andy Cruz. I mean, there's a lot of talented guys that people respect that Shakur has the ability to freaking challenge. Man, now imagine him fighting all those guys and putting that on his resume, man. We talking about We talking about legendary status. We talking about Mount Rushmore type of stuff, because, all these guys are the elite guys of this generation and people respect them. And if Shakur was to beat them, he's going to definitely make his mark heavy in the sport and become extremely popular, even more popular than what Terrence Crawford is right now, and I feel like Shakur can be that face of American boxing that, we've always had. We have Floyd Mayweather. I think he can be as popular as Floyd Mayweather, if not more popular than Floyd Mayweather, so I don't know, man. Guys, tell me what you think. Am I tripping? But there's a lot of potential matchup for Shakur that can really grow his star, man.
But let me tell you what's really got people buzzing behind the scenes. Ryan Garcia, despite all his recent controversies, dropped some knowledge about this potential matchup that actually makes a lot of sense. Garcia said that people are sleeping on how mentally tough Devin Haney really is, and that Stevenson's defensive style might actually play into Haney's hands over 12 rounds. According to Garcia, Haney's pressure and volume punching could wear down Stevenson's defensive shell, especially in the later rounds when fatigue starts setting in. Garcia pointed out that while Stevenson looked brilliant against Haney, Stevenson isn't known for sustained pressure over 12 rounds the way Stevenson is. This is actually a really insightful point, because it addresses something most analysts haven't considered: the difference between beating a power puncher like Haney's and dealing with someone who's going to throw consistent volume for 36 minutes straight.
Shakur Stevenson is a first-class fighter, and I don't think it's going to make any difference that he give the title up because of weight difference. He just go to the next division and win that title as well.
How could Shakur beat him if he can't hurt him? That would be my question.
Listen, you don't have to hurt him, you just have to outscore him. Shakur takes a good shot though, He's a specialist. That's why some fights that he doesn't look good in, because he's so superior. And it's boring watching sometimes. But he's a specialist. He knows what he's doing. He's hard to beat.
And here's where it gets absolutely crazy. Adrian Broner, of all people, made a prediction about this fight that has everyone talking. Broner said that if this fight happens, it's going to expose one of these fighters in a way that changes their entire career trajectory. He believes that both fighters have been protected to some degree by fighting opponents who play into their strengths, and that a matchup between them will force both guys to show parts of their game they've never had to rely on before. Broner specifically mentioned that Stevenson has never faced someone with Haney's combination of size, reach, and work rate, while Haney has never dealt with someone who can make him miss as consistently as Stevenson does. According to Broner, whoever loses this fight is going to have serious questions about their place in the sport's elite tier, which makes the stakes even higher than just championship belts.
Masterpiece, man. He looked so smooth, calm, and relaxed, man. That was beautiful. That was the one boxing lesson that you future guys, young guys and amateurs just turning pro, watch that, man. That was beautiful. You heard his father say in the corner, "What happened to your fast hands? That shit didn't work, man."
So overall, just given the styles and in boxing so well, was there any way that Teal could have put on a better performance, a better plan, and gotten a better result?
No, I don't think whatever he would have brought to the table would have worked, man. Shakur just got a great boxing mind. That's just it. He's got a great boxing mind, and once he put his mind to it, he's gonna get the job done.
What is it gonna take to beat someone like him?
I don't know, Brian. Probably want to stay away from that kid, man.
Yeah.
Now here's something that's flying completely under the radar, but could be the most important factor in this whole debate. Virgil Hunter, who's trained some of the best fighters of the last 2 decades, recently broke down both fighters' styles and made a prediction that shocked a lot of people. Hunter said that while everyone's focusing on Stevenson's defensive brilliance and Haney's pressure, the real key to this fight is going to be who can establish their jab first. He explained that both fighters rely heavily on their jabs to set up everything else they do, but they use them in completely different ways. Stevenson uses his jab to create distance and set up counters, while Haney uses his to close distance and create openings for combinations. Hunter believes that whoever wins the jab battle in the first 3 rounds will dictate the pace and style of the entire fight, and that's going to determine the outcome more than any other single factor.
I think, to 109 with scorecard, so basically like 11 rounds to 1. What did you think about the outcome and the fact that he was able to win so dominantly?
One, shout out to New York. To Bruce Carrington, he's world champion now. I'm so proud of him.
Fact.
Been watching him fight the undercards and all this stuff forever. And the world champion tonight, I was bawling. I was crying, yo. So shout out to him. He shine every time he come out to see his story, see how much he done overcame everything. Now he get his 12th round knockout, looking good against Jermaine Ortiz. Wonderful. Now we got the main event with Shakur, and I knew that was gonna happen. Everybody be talking all that rah to me. I know boxing, and like I told y'all, we was gonna see a little bit of athleticism, but we was gonna see Shakur be using his jab, going to the body, and we saw blood today. Shakur did great today. Only thing I can ask for is stopping. I can't ask for nothing else.
But wait, there's more to Hunter's analysis that really opens your eyes to how technical this fight could be. He pointed out that both fighters have incredibly high boxing IQs, but they process information differently during a fight. Floyd's tends to make adjustments between rounds based on what he's seeing, while Haney makes micro-adjustments constantly throughout each round. Hunter thinks this difference in adaptation styles could create a chess match where both fighters are trying to solve puzzles in real time, but using completely different approaches. He compared it to watching two master chess players who have studied completely different opening strategies. Both are brilliant, but they're operating from entirely different philosophies about how to win.
Shakur is massively underrated in terms of his achievements and his ability. Everyone in boxing knows how good Shakur is. He is pound for pound, top 5 in terms of quality. But look at the achievements of the young man. At 28 years of age, he's already a 3-division world champion. This is to become a 4-division world champion. Quite remarkable. And Teofimo always rises to the occasion. Sometimes you see a little bit of a lackluster performance when he's not motivated, when there isn't kind of any legacy on the line. This is different. This is a sold-out Madison Square Garden between two of the elite fighters of our generation. And the best thing about this fight is we're seeing them in their prime.
And speaking of different philosophies, let me tell you what Floyd Mayweather recently said about this situation, because it's going to blow your mind. Floyd came out and said that both fighters remind him of himself at different stages of his career, but for totally different reasons. He sees Stevenson as having the pure defensive instincts and counterpunching ability that made Floyd untouchable in his prime. But he sees Haney as having the work ethic, discipline, and strategic mind that allowed Floyd to dominate for so many years. Mayweather's take is that this fight represents a clash between natural talent and developed skill, and he genuinely doesn't know which one wins in a head-to-head matchup. Coming from someone who mastered both aspects during his career, this perspective adds a whole new layer to how we should be analyzing this potential fight. Here's what's really interesting about Floyd's comments, though. He mentioned that both fighters have been studying his fights, but they've been focusing on different aspects of his style. Stevenson has been studying Haney defensive positioning and counterpunching timing, while Haney has been studying Floyd's ring generalship and how to control pace over 12 rounds. Mayweather said it's like watching two different interpretations of his own boxing philosophy, and he's curious to see which approach proves more effective when they're tested against each other. This insight from Floyd gives us a completely different way to think about the matchup. It's not just Stevenson versus Haney. It's two different interpretations of elite boxing facing off against each other. Now let's talk about something that could completely change everything we think we know about this fight. Andre Ward recently did a deep dive analysis of both fighters and came to a conclusion that nobody saw coming. Ward said that while everyone's debating who has better technique or physical advantages, the real deciding factor is going to be who wants it more on fight night. He explained that both fighters are so technically sound and well prepared that the margin for error is incredibly small, which means the mental and emotional aspects become magnified. Ward pointed out that in fights between elite fighters with similar skill levels, the guy who's willing to dig deeper and push through adversity usually comes out on top, regardless of what the pre-fight analysis suggests. Ward's analysis gets even more interesting when he breaks down the pressure each fighter is facing. He believes Stevenson is fighting with the confidence that comes from knowing he's been underestimated his entire career, while Haney is fighting with the weight of expectations that come from being hyped as a future star since he was a teenager. Ward thinks these different types of pressure could manifest in completely different ways during a 12-round fight. Stevenson might get stronger as the fight goes on because he's used to proving doubters wrong, while Haney might feel the pressure to live up to expectations and make mistakes he wouldn't normally make. This psychological angle adds another dimension to what's already shaping up to be an incredibly complex matchup. But here's where things get really spicy, and this is information that most people don't know. Both fighters have been quietly studying each other's fights for over a year, and they've both made specific adjustments to their training based on what they've observed. Stevenson has been working extensively on dealing with high-volume pressure fighters, specifically adding more lateral movement and combination punching to his arsenal. Meanwhile, Haney has been focusing on cutting off the ring more effectively and developing better timing against counter-punchers. These adjustments suggest that both fighters are taking this potential matchup incredibly seriously and are already preparing for the specific challenges the other would present. What makes this even more fascinating is that both fighters have been sparring with partners who mimic the other's style. Stevenson has been working with southpaw pressure fighters who throw high volume, while Haney has been sparring with slick defensive fighters who specialize in making opponents miss. The fact that both camps are investing this much time and energy into preparing for each other tells you everything you need to know about how seriously they're taking this fight. These aren't just casual preparations. These are long-term strategic adjustments that show both fighters believe this matchup is inevitable and want to be ready when it happens.